Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
Finding your voice as an artist entrepreneur. This is going to be a little different than what you've heard today from the other keynote speakers, but in the end, you'll see kind of how all of it incorporates back to what we talked about today. So that is me right there, Ashley Baker, also known as Ash the Artist. That's what I go by as my stage name. And we'll talk a little bit about the companies and organizations that I'm associated with. Oh, yes. So not only finding your voice as an artist entrepreneur, but while battling a chronic illness. So we will discuss that as well today. So I'm going to start with the company. So back in the middle of COVID, me and my best friend Alonzo here decided to start an LLC. We both had been doing music since high school, and we were starting to get plugged into the music scene and performing. And we noticed that, as we talked about earlier, we did some research and seen there was a demand. There was a missing link out there for artist development. And we're from Hagerstown as well. And actually, there's a thriving music scene out there currently. So we came up with CKG Entertainment, which stands for Creativity, Knowledge, and Growth. Our mission statement is, our services and our tools are designed to help artists create, develop, and grow. Our vision is that we envision artists as a community where people are self-reliant, focused, and driven to create and grow in knowledge to become self-independent artists. So this all started with the artists and the music, but as we began to do our work and our research and make connections, we realized that it was a lot broader than just the artist. Artists, the same way we're talking about businesses, personal branding, corporate branding. An artist is an artist entrepreneur. You're a brand, you're a business, there's a lot associated with that. So we started to take our artist development and expanded it within the entrepreneur community as a whole for branding, marketing, and event coordination. And again, on our journey working with artists, we've learned a lot that there's so many different levels of learning and leadership. Things we talked about today, imposter syndrome. We come from a small town and all of a sudden overnight, we're like, hey, we're business owners. We're walking around in suits, we're putting on events and stuff. But again, fake it till you make it, or just, believe in yourself enough to not let your current situations hold you back, So that kind of expanded our company, and we went from just offering artist development to starting to offer songwriting, vocal lessons, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok campaigns, so digital marketing, recording studio services. We ended up partnering with both of the major studios in our area to be able to help people have easier access to creating music, because a lot of people didn't even know what was possible. And then another thing is live event curation and coordination. So not only did we perform at events, we started to host events, and now we're being paid to coordinate events for other businesses and companies in the area. So we actually started to tap into businesses then and seen that there was also a need there for digital marketing, branding, jingles, commercial jingles. I mean, how many times a day do you see an ad or listen to the radio and hear a business on there? So we start to tap into that market a bit and offer businesses digital marketing, writing, and as I mentioned, event coordination and branding consultations. So this year alone, our company has hosted 17 successful live events. And some of these events include curating, booking, and promoting a series called Wednesday Night Live, in collaboration with ACT Black Box Studio in Hagerstown, Maryland. We have sold a combined 400 Eventbrite tickets so far this year. And again, we're partnering with some key players in the area, recording studios, theater companies. In general, arts and entertainment is a broad term. So it's just something that we really love to highlight just because of our passion for it. But also it's a lot deeper than that. And we'll talk about that because community can really be uplifted through the created art that people are doing. Not only are they expressing themselves, but they're creating something that somebody else can use to uplift their community as well. So we just started to see, there was a flow for this, and what we were doing kind of seemed like we were on the right page. So again, this all started just from our love of music. Myself, I'm a singer, songwriter, rapper, and actress from Hagerstown. As I mentioned, we've performed up and down the East Coast. I've actually performed in Baltimore a good bit, Club Oxygen, Club Charm, the Auto Bar. We performed in Pittsburgh at Grind City TV, Morgantown West V, the Maryland Theater, and we've opened up for artists such as Two Live Crew, Afroman, Life Jennings. So, we've had some fun on the journey of artistry and business. So in addition to live performances, I also performed in a live rock opera called Rent. Anybody heard of Rent, the rock opera? Some people? Okay, cool. So, and this I performed twice, once in 2019 and again in 2021. So if anybody does not know the story of Rent, Rent is actually about a group of artists struggling during the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the late 80s, early 90s. So little did I know that while I'm acting and being a part of a play that was so significant about autoimmune disease and being an artist, that my own life would be reflecting, what I was portraying in the show. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So here you see a little bit that I have Lyme disease. I actually have stage 3, or what some know as chronic Lyme disease. And if anybody knows anything about Lyme, it is a very controversial disease. When I got the diagnosis, the first thing the doctor said was, this is a very controversial disease. And I'm like, I don't understand what's controversial about it. I'm just sick. So I didn't understand it until I dived deeper and found out all the politics and the rabbit hole that is chronic Lyme disease. Here you see a picture of me there with my PICC line in my arm. I actually had a PICC line for a year and a half, which basically I took IV directly to my heart twice a day. And there you see me getting a treatment infusion at home. And to the right here, you can see some signs. Me and a couple of close friends went to DC and actually met with the CDC and protested because of basically unfair treatment. And it shouldn't be so difficult for people with Lyme disease to get a diagnosis and, find proper treatment. So I started to kind of tap into advocacy work, which led me to Project Lyme. Noah here actually is the director of Project Lyme, which is a New York-based nonprofit that has literally raised millions of dollars to help eradicate Lyme and tick-borne illnesses by spreading awareness, by curating events, and just doing all types of amazing work in the area. And again, this is on a national scale. So it's like, how's little old me from Hagerstown tapping into these people in New York and all that? So again, when all this happened, it took about 9 months to find out what was wrong with me. I had to see 7 specialists, and I was misdiagnosed with over 5 conditions, including fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, anxiety, depression. They basically said I woke up one day and had all of it. Rheumatoid arthritis. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm 23. Like, it's just not possible. Try to give me pain medication, all of that. And I'm like, there has to be more to this. I was finally diagnosed with stage 3 neurological Lyme disease, or post-Lyme disease complex, or chronic Lyme. Symptoms include severe fatigue, weakness, nerve pain, aches, joint swelling, headaches, memory loss, brain fog, hearing, vision loss. I actually ended up losing both of my jobs in 2019 and had to completely start my life over because I was so sick and had no answers, which again led me on my advocacy search that I'm on now, or advocacy journey. Again, for anybody who does not know, this is very important that Lyme disease is the most common vector-borne disease in the United States. It is contracted from the bite of a black-legged tick, but it can be found in many species of ticks, spiders, and even fleas. And again, I encourage everybody to do their own research. I'm not here to, be a doctor or scientist. I'm just sharing, a couple of facts, that were relevant to my story. Symptoms can include a bullseye rash, extreme fatigue, fevers, as we talked about. But again, that bullseye rash is not always present. Like myself, I don't remember a tick bite and I never had a bullseye rash. Yet that's the first thing the doctors look for when you're diagnosed with or they're thinking about Lyme disease. Kind of a contradiction, right? Yeah. So again, the target bullseye rash is not, it's actually only common, I think like 20-30% of patients find it. So again, Lyme disease, if left untreated, or maybe if they don't find it, they just don't even know. So if they don't know they were bitten by a tick, that infection can spread all through their body, causing issues with the brain, heart, immune system, and cause a lot of damage, some irreversible, leaving some chronic Lyme patients disabled or worse. There is no known cure for chronic Lyme disease. So again, with there not being a cure for this, it kind of leads people to think like, this is a lot. This could be a lot for somebody to deal with. So you're probably wondering like, okay, so what are you doing here? You know what I mean? How did you do it? Well, that's where I challenge you all to flip the script and find your purpose within your pain. As we talked about earlier, life is what you make it. And again, you have to believe in yourself and be your biggest advocate and fan, especially when you're dealing with a chronic illness. You can't give up on yourself and you can't, feel not good enough. We talked about imposter syndrome. It's like, what makes me good enough to be in a room with a bunch of entrepreneurs or people who maybe have business backgrounds or go to courses or classes to be an entrepreneur. Again, that passion that you find when you're dealing with a chronic illness and your back's against the wall is something they cannot teach you in school. So yeah, that's my challenge for you guys. And another thing I did to really help on this journey was development. Professional development and career training through federal volunteer programs like AmeriCorps, Mediation Maryland, National Park Service, and CKG Entertainment. I was able to learn a lot of different skills. I was working with prisoners that were coming home from being incarcerated. I was working with judges, and I was in Annapolis one week. So again, these types of things, I just encourage you. Not everybody can go to college. Not everybody has the resources that others have. So again, if you're dealing with something like a chronic illness, and you don't feel good enough or that you have the money or resources, I just challenge you to flip that script and to not give up on yourself. And of course, music, that was another thing that really helped on the journey. Some of the opportunities and coverage I've gotten has been pretty cool over the years. I was able to work with Baltimore ABC News. Actually, they just covered a story on me this past 4th of July, actually. Herald Mail Media, Project Lyme, Tech Post, a couple different organizations. I also, in this past May, was able to work with the mayor and the city directly, and we proclaimed May as Tick and Lyme Disease Awareness Month. So I was able to get it recognized on a bigger level and perform at a festival called Bless the Woods, which was all about Lyme disease awareness. Something else super cool that I wanted to share is that, so my story actually got national coverage, and I was documented for 2 years for a movie called I'm Not Crazy, I'm Sick, which is actually just got picked up for distribution. So you will be seeing that on either, I'm not going to say a name, but on a streaming platform very soon. Again, these pictures are a little dark here, but it's some images from the film. And another film that I was actually featured in was The Quiet Epidemic, which just came out. I actually forgot that I was in it because I was in the middle of like all the advocacy and I signed the paper, so it's okay. But yeah, somebody hit me up and they're like, hey, you're in another movie. And I'm like, wow. So again, I'm taking that illness and flipping the script. And it's like, we're going to tell our story, just like we talked about today. And again, now it's to the point where it's, on a bigger level. And for anybody who would like to see it, again, I'm not crazy, I'm sick.com. The movie is set to come out later this year. It actually not only highlights my story, but WNBA player Lana Del Don, who was actually discriminated against and not able to even play in the NBA because of her chronic Lyme. During COVID, they wouldn't allow her to. So again, my question to you is, how do you keep yourself safe from these bugs and diseases? Prevention and education. So again, having these conversations in different settings. These conversations aren't just relevant to people with Lyme disease, but people who maybe are misdiagnosed, people who maybe have fibromyalgia or a chronic, other symptoms. And again, as an entrepreneur, you're busy. Everything we talked about today, work-life balance. Again, so I don't have children, but I have a chronic disease that I have to prioritize. So sometimes I have to, mark out white space on my calendar, like we talked about. Don't be afraid to say no, like we also talked about, because again, that's protecting your peace. But don't feel like you can't do it or that your story is not important to tell, because it is. And then again, how do you continue to chase your dreams as an artist entrepreneur? Well, kind of like we said today, not imposter syndrome per se, but believe in yourself. Don't give up on yourself. I just said it to a couple people today. I'm not a part of the women's leadership group. But again, sometimes your character will take you places that money or position cannot. And, I challenge you to, just believe in yourself, especially anybody dealing with something that may be invisible, like anxiety, depression, any types of things like that. You're not any less, and it doesn't make you any less of an entrepreneur, and it doesn't, make your story any less important. So that's something I wanted to tell you all today.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.